welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to be renovating the forks, so we'll be changing the oil seals and dust seals, we'll be changing the bushes, replacing the oil and respraying the forks. Trying to get most of the oil out of it first before I disassemble it properly. Just try to make less of a mess, you know. Okay, so the manual is telling you to make a note of the pitch of the springs. Some are coiled differently at the bottom or the top, or vice versa. Now this one looks exactly the same, and it does make a difference which way it goes in. So I'm just going to stand it in the corner here, and that's in its sort of upright position. Okay, I put the spring back in to hopefully give me enough tension to get this nut out, or screw out. Okay, I had a bit of trouble getting that nut out by using the old Allen key. Now that's not an Allen key, but it doesn't matter, it fits anyway. And if it doesn't come out, so that is in the fork leg screwed into that, and all that was happening was, as I'm turning it, the whole thing was turning. Now if it does that, it suggests you get the special tool, which is probably very expensive, or you can mock something up and it suggests using a piece of wood to sort of whittle it out to make that shape and jam it in if you like. But what I did instead is using a hexed socket, which wasn't big enough. Well, that one's slightly bigger, but it wasn't big enough. I just put lots and lots of tape on it, popped it in there and hit it in with a hammer, and it's just enough to grip it, so that seemed to work. Okay, so we're almost disassembled. Okay, now I believe to get this out, you just treat it like a slide hammer. There we go. Cool. Okay, so it's nice to see the forks are in reasonable condition. So what you've got on here now is a bottom bush, a top bush, a washer, and then your oil seal, which is very, very hard. And you can see there now you've got like a tide line, so obviously the fork would be kind of sitting at that angle in the bike, and then that's the tide line of where the oil used to be. So I'll try and get all that apart and clean it up. The easiest way to take these apart is carefully just get a screwdriver and just try and prise them open. I think I need a bigger screwdriver than that. Okay, so just get your screwdriver in, and off it comes. That will just slide off, and your washer, and then your seal. Okay, so we've got our new parts, our oil seals and our dust seals. Okay, let's have a look at what we got in the kit. Now we got a lot more parts than I think I need. I think it's probably like a generic kit that serves a lot of different bikes. So I got a lot more seals than I think I need. Now those two are to go around the top cap. I got two sets of clips. I think that one's more suitable to that, and that's a slightly different one. Not sure what these are for. like I say, might be for a different type of bike. Like I say, the kit probably covers a lot of different things. I've got upper bushes and I've got 2 sets of lower bushes. I think those are the ones I need, the wider ones. I don't need those ones. I've also got a couple of copper seals. Now that one is for here. Now this one didn't have one on, so whoever rebuilt it last didn't put a seal on it. Also, the bottom nut, I got washers over here for that. That didn't have any washers on either. I'm guessing these here for these, and there's a couple of extra ones for something. So I think it's like a generic set, I would imagine, so there's a few more bits than you actually need. Okay, I'm about to reassemble this fork. I've already done this one. Now the only thing I haven't put in here, I haven't put the dust seal on, and I haven't put the spring in and the top cap. The reason for that is I want to spray the forks before I do that. Now I haven't got a fork seal driver tool. Now they're not ridiculously expensive, they're only about 40 quid. But what I've done instead, and worked on this one, is I've got a bit of old drainage pipe. I think this is 42mm, something like that. Cut it so that it'll slide over the ends. Make sure the bottom ends are really flat. That'll be beneficial. And I use that to hammer home the fork seals. Now I've already cleaned everything. Before we go any further, I've looked at a couple of videos on YouTube myself just to get some sort of idea of what to do, because I've never done forks before. And I was horrified to see somebody sanding the stanchion down because it had a few sort of pit marks on it. I certainly wouldn't do anything like that. I'd use something like that, you know, which is very soft. It's a little bit of cleaning power to it. Like I think they call them Scotch Brite or something like that. I might even use a tiny bit of wet and dry. That is something like, I think it's 2000 grit. You know, it's barely anything there at all, which would be handy for sanding down. You know, there's like a little tide mark there or whatever, but I'm not really bothered by that anyway. So don't go sanding it down, for God's sake. You're just asking for trouble. You're taking the chrome off. If it's pitted that badly, you've got to get it re-chromed or get another one. So I've already put the lower bush on. Oil it first, and you can get it on. Where's my screwdriver? I'm not going to take it back off, but you just prise it slightly on with a screwdriver, as I did when I took it off. So another thing I've seen on some people's videos is you put that on first. So that's your damping rod, and that's your rebound spring. That goes in there first. I did see one where he's put that on there, then there, and then your stop. That's the wrong way around. The correct way is to put the rebound spring there, then that goes on there. Now, even when I took these off, they were put on the wrong way around. This one is a couple of scuffs on it there where somebody's messed it up. It may look similar, but it's actually tapered. It's wider there and narrower there. Now this happens to fit into a cup in the bottom of the fork leg. This one put it in that way, it's a little more loose. So I believe that is the correct way around, so it fits into the groove nicely. So let's just pop that in. Now I have managed to get hold of a small impact driver, which was much easier to get the other bottom bolt out. If you remember, I used that just to kind of grab it and hold it still, which I'll still need when I'm putting this in. Now you need to torque this bolt up. Put a bit of thread lock on it first. So this is supposed to be torqued up. I think it's to 40 Newton meters. But I tried torquing it up and I couldn't get it torqued up. I couldn't get this to grip properly. So I think this will do. That's as tight as the impact driver will do it. That should be okay. Okay. So the next bit is to put the upper bush in. Now the manual states that that groove, it didn't say anything about the bottom one, the upper bush groove should not be facing forwards or backwards, it should be fitting to the side. It doesn't matter which side. So that's the bush in. Going to pop that on there, the ring. And now we're going to use this to hit it home. Okay, so here we go. Taps and then a little check. That was good. That went in a lot easier than the other one did for some reason. That looks pretty much home, but I'm going to give it a few more clouts. You see, I can't see it breaking anything by the pipe. Okay, so we've got the washer goes in there. Okay, in the manual it does suggest putting a little bit of grease in there. Probably better to put some in the actual in the seal itself. Okay, now when you put in the seal on, put a little bag over the top. Make sure you oil this up. And then when you slide that over the top, those sharp edges won't damage the seal itself. So I'm just going to press that in lightly. Put a bit more grease in there actually. It's going quite easily. And then using one of the old seals. It doesn't matter if that gets damaged, of course. Okay, so I put one of the old seals on top. I'm just going to tap it home. Okay, now that should leave me enough room now to put the circlip back in. Obviously this is a new one. Okay, and that is job done. So like I say, I'm not going to put the dust seal on yet because I want to spray this this fork. Okay, let's get the forks ready for paint. What I'm going to do here is use the old dust seal. So I'm going to just put that over the fork leg. I'm not going to push it quite all the way in, only a little bit, just to stop dust and paint going down into the sort of oil seal area. So the forks have come out okay with its new paint. We're going to finish it off by putting new oil in it and putting the springs back in and all the rest of the dust seals. Now for this bike, the amount of oil it says you need is 488 millimeters, no sorry. The amount of oil that you need is 418 cc, which is the same as milliliters. It also says here plus or minus 4 cc's or 4 milliliters, which I don't understand because it gives you a fork oil level, which is 130 millimeters plus or minus 2 millimeters. So I can't see how the oil level is so specific if it just said 118 milliliters approximately, and then you just measure it with a measuring stick because the measuring stick has got to be correct anyway. So here's the measuring stick that I've made. I've also checked the spring free length, which should be 488 mil, and it's actually bang on. It's got a service limit of 478 millimeters. So the first thing I'm going to put in is the drain screw. There's also a washer on there which came with a pack. Now on this model it says to use a washer. On other models, the A and the C model, it doesn't. Now this didn't come with a washer, so be careful when you're taking things apart. Don't necessarily put it back together the way it came apart, because it didn't necessarily go together properly. Let's get this bit of tape off here that I masked it up with. There you go. Now it does say put some gasket seal on this, but I suppose it's gasket seal if you don't put a washer on it. pinch that up. Okay, so in the section where I put the oil seal in there, I put a bit of grease around it. I got a little bit confused. It does say in the manual to put grease underneath the dust seal. So I put grease on one of them, I didn't do it on the other. I can't see it making a hell of a lot of difference anyway. So we're just going to apply a little bit of grease in there. I suppose it's to help capture any dust that might get past. So you can put a little bit of grease on there as well. Can't see it harming. And we're going to slide it on using the old bag technique. These are slightly different seals than the ones that came off. I got a spring on the outside. This one's a little different, but much the same. Okay, I think we can just press that home with hand pressure. Okay, so I've measured out approximately the right amount of oil. So I'm going to pour most of this in. You're just going to work it up and down, trying to expel air. Kind of hear it gurgling around in there. Just double checking to make sure no oil is coming out of the drain hole. Okay, now our measurement is measured with the fork compressed. So I'm just going to hang our measuring stick over the side and see what we got. Okay, we're a little bit short there. Quite short actually. Let's see if there's any more in there to give. I'm using 10 weight oil. I think on this model you can have anything from Can't remember. I think you can have any oil in between 10 and 20 weight. So you got 10, 15, 20. I've gone for the 10. Fully compressed. Ooh, it's gone over a bit now. Strange. Okay, so I've gone a little bit over. The amount of oil I put in here was just very rough. Now some bikes, I think you have to put a specific measurement of oil in, but most of them you have a measure from the top of the fork. Now if it was a specific amount, I would have used something more technical than the bottle, you know, a nice measuring jug or something. Okay, let's check that again. Okay, so it's a little over now. Just pour a little bit out. This is clean oil in here that I took out of the original container. Again, just a touch over. Okay, so that's pretty much bang on. I don't know if you can see that. So the centre of the black line is 130mm, and then I got 2mm either side. So that looks like it's to the top of the black line, so it's probably 132mm. So quite happy with that. Okay, I'm just going to pop the spring back in. Just have to extend it for that, no doubt, because all the oil will come out. I don't think there's any specific way these springs go up. Some are coiled in a different manner. This one isn't. Okay. So now we're going to try and get that on. The new seals have gone on here. Just try and do this on the floor. Cool, one done. Okay, so I haven't torqued up the top bolt. I'll do that when it's on the bike. It'll be a little bit easier when it's in the triple clamp. It'll be a little bit easier when it's in the triple clamp. It'll be easier when it's in the triple clamp. Okay, so number 2. Okay, so screw in first. Okay, so that's 2 forks ready to go back on. If you like that video, hit like and subscribe to the channel.